Shalom, family, and welcome.
Shalom.
Welcome to another new moon, new month observation. Praise Yahweh for the breath of life and for a small sanctuary that we can come to continue to learn about our heritage as that precious gift of His eyes, the apple of His eye. You know, as we go through some things tonight, I'd like for everybody to kind of consider your own upbringing, the things you've gone through, and see how this resonates back to your own life. Tonight's sermon is Lost Legacy. Lost legacy. The word legacy, money or property that is given to you by somebody when they die. And this is what we really usually think of. But the second part of that is a situation that exists now because of events, actions, etc., that took place in the past. So do we consider that our legacy is something from the past? But like I said, most of us just consider the money aspect, the financial aspect as being a legacy. There was a time when, as a people, the legacy that we were concerned about was the name, our last name, even though it was not our names. There's still some of us that'll fight for that name because we think there's a true legacy associated to it, but there is a legacy of slavery. But then if you look at that legacy and continue down that rabbit hole, you'll understand that that is a part of the legacy of the children of Israel. Slavery. So let's begin tonight in Genesis chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 10.
Genesis chapter 12. Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get you out of your country, and from your kindred, and from your father's house, unto a land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse him that curseth you. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed.
So he says to him, get you out of your country and from your kindred and from your father's house onto a land that I will show you. So you got to understand that this is a big move. The first thing he's saying, get out the country. It ain't just get out of your father's house. Most of us, when we leave home, we still tend to reside somewhere in the city that we grew up in. But from the get-go, he said, get out the country. So we understand that this is a major move. The first time leaving home and you being told to get out the country, not just get out his house and get out the city, but get out the complete country and go to a place that I'm going to tell you of. So at this point, he doesn't even know where he's going. Most of us on the first move don't know what to pack, what to take with us. I don't even know where I'm going, so how am I going to prepare? This time of year, if somebody told you, hey man, you need to move to Canada. Hey, we live down here in the South. One of the things you have to consider is clothing. So you might run out and get you some heavy jackets and prepare for winter weather. But if Elohim tells you, I'm going to the place where I'm going to tell you of, how do you prepare for that? How do you know what to carry? Go ahead.
Verse 4. So Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
So for 75 years of his life, this man is used to being in his father's house. We don't hear such things nowadays. And if we do, we'd ridicule that person. Especially if it's a man, you're going to get all kind of mama's boy and this and that, all type of disrespect. This man is 75 years old when he's taking his first journey out of his father's house. And not just out of his father's house, out of the country. Go ahead.
And Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance, and they that gather.
That they had gathered.
They had gathered, excuse me. And the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, and unto the plain of Moreh. And the Canaanite was then in the land. And Yahweh appeared unto Abram, and said, Unto your seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto Yahweh, who appeared unto him. And he removed from tents unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto Yahweh, and called upon the name of Yahweh. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land.
So if you just look at this simple, there's constant movement going on. And he removed from thence onto a mountain to the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar unto Yahweh, and called upon the name of Yahweh. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. So if you look, it's constant movement. There's constant movement going on. Let's jump to Genesis chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 1 through 4 to begin with.
Chapter 13. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai.
So he's done journeyed down into Egypt, and now he's gone back to where he was before he went down into Egypt. So there's some back and forth movement going on. Go ahead.
Unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahweh.
All right, jump down to verse 10.
And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well water everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of Yahweh, like the land of Egypt, as you comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before Yahweh exceedingly. And Yahweh said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now your eyes, and look from the place where you art, northward and southward, and eastward and westward. For all the land which you seest, to you will I give it, and to your seed forever. And I will make your seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall your seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto you. Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto Yahweh.
All right, let's jump to Genesis chapter 15. We're going to begin at verse 12.
Genesis 15. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age.
So Yahweh says to Abram, know for surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Understand that at this point that Yahweh is telling him this, he's also a stranger in a land that's not his. And then if you look at the journey that he continues to take, this is some of the same journey that the children of Israel end up taking. You can look even back down when you go as far as Yahshua. It was still running down into Egypt. So when you say your forefathers, he set the pace. He tread the path that Israel kept having to go through and go down. Except for this last journey that took us way away. Go ahead.
But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day Yahweh made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto your seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river of Euphrates.
So let's consider what's being given here. At this point, Abraham does not have enough people to fill this land. This is from the river of Egypt onto the great river Euphrates. That's the covenant given to the children of Israel. This is what we see some other people fighting, trying to obtain. If you look at the map, you can see what that encompasses. So if they get the Palestinians out the land to continue to fulfill this agenda, do we see how many other people they're going to have to try to conquer? So in this quest of this covenant, is America and Great Britain going to continue to stand by while they try to trample these other people? Genesis chapter 20 and verse 1 says, and Abram journeyed from thence toward the south country and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and sojourned in Gerar. So this man is constantly moving. He's constantly on the go. I consider what he said. He had great silver and gold. Come on, man. If we was moving like that, we would have some great concern for all the riches that we got. Not only that, let's think about what gets lost in the shuffle as we continue to have to pack up and move. The first thing, he had to leave his father's country, get out of his father's house, get away from his father's kindred. So as he's journeying through these other places, what else is being lost? You're already separated from your father's house. And as we go through it, we're going to show how great that separation gets. Let's go to Genesis chapter 24. This whole movement is still affecting us onto this day. Genesis chapter 24, and let's read verses 1 through 8.
Genesis chapter 24. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray you, your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of heaven and the Elohim of the earth, that you shall not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell.
So imagine we living here in this country, and what if we were told, hey, don't marry none of these women in this country? That's a great feat, isn't it? Go ahead.
But you shall go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Esau. And the servant said unto him, peradventure, the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring your son again unto the land from whence you came? And Abraham said unto him, beware that you bring not my son thither again.
Now, we've read this over and over. When somebody say beware, you got to understand that there's some seriousness behind that. That man said beware. Don't take my son there. So what did he know, or what was he trying to avoid his son getting into? We know that Terah worshipped idols. At this point, this man is serious about this. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim of heaven, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that swear unto me, saying, unto your seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife unto my son from thence. From thence. And if the woman will not be willing to follow you, then you shall be clear from this my oath. Only bring not my son thither again.
So it's so serious, he says it a second time. In this one conversation, don't take my son there. It's okay for you to go get a wife from there for him, but I don't want you to take him there. As he's journeying, certain things are being purged out of him. The legacy of his own father household is being purged out of him, because part of their legacy, like we just stated, is the worship of idols. You know how quick we are to, what they say, do in Rome as the Romans do? So now you get his son down there who's never been privy to any of this type of stuff. Now you're going to have to purge some things out of him. And Abraham knows at this point, I'm an old man. I'm not going to be around to help get this stuff out of him if he go down and pick this stuff up. Now, I need him to continue with this legacy I'm building. I need him to continue with the things that Yahweh has been showing us. Let's go to Genesis chapter 26. So as one legacy is being purged out, another one is being built. Genesis chapter 26, and let's first start with verse 1 through 8.
Genesis chapter 26. And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Esau went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And Yahweh appeared unto him and said, go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell you of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you, and I will bless you. For unto you and unto your seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham your father. And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto your seed all these countries. And in your seed shall all the nation of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
So this is Yahweh now talking to Esaac. Yahweh first made his covenant with Abraham. Yahweh's now making his covenant with Esau. And I think this is where we've gotten off, is that we now have to read to understand the covenant. Yahweh he didn't keep going from generation to generation to have them understand what the covenant and the legacy is supposed to be. This is where we get in the book and understand the legacy, the covenant that was made with the children of Israel. And then he says, why? This is part of the legacy. This is why it was given. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. That's a part of obtaining the legacy. Go ahead.
And Esau dwelt in Gerar, and the man of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, she is my sister. For he feared to say, she is my wife, lest, said he, the man of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. And it came to pass, when he had been there when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Esau was sporting with Rebekah, his wife.
This is what happens when you get comfortable. When you get comfortable, then you forget that eyes might be on you. You forget that you just passing through. That's where we're at. We're comfortable. You can look back some years back. You look at Liberia. Liberia was built because they created this city and say, for all those who want to go back to the continent, you can come back. Why do you think the majority of us ain't back over there? Why do you think we're not keeping this class from over there? Majority of us was comfortable. And that comfort is what gets us complacent. We can't be comfortable. This is not our home. But in order to get back to our legacy, there's things that we got to do. And we just read what it said. This was passed down to Esau, and he said, why? Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge and my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Let's jump down to verse 16.
Verse 16. And Abimelech said unto Esau, go from us, for you art much mightier than we. And Esau departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there.
So at this point, he's not being given a choice to leave. He's being told to leave. So when you're being told to leave, there's kind of a haste of having to get up and get out. Do you really get the opportunity to collect all your belongings, get all your stuff that you need to get to move on? We don't think about what gets lost in the shuffle while we're moving. Like I said, if you look back to Abraham, Abraham lost the legacy of Terah's house, which was a good thing. So much so that he understood that he didn't want his own son to pick up any of that stuff. Most of us in this room have journeyed from somewhere else. There's only few in the room that might can say, hey, Georgia born and raised. So think about what changed as you transition from place to place. Some people's vernacular changed. Some people's thought process changed in good ways, bad ways. Links and relationships broken. Links and relationships that were never made because of moves. Let's go to Genesis chapter 27. And we'll start at verse 41 and go to 28 and 5.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, your brother Esau, as touching thee, do comfort himself, purposing to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee you to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until your brother's fury turn away, until your brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forgot that which you has done to him. Then I will send and fetch you from thence. Why shall I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said unto Esau, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me?
You know, it's funny. She said, such as these which are the daughters of the land. We recall somebody else wanting to see the daughters of the land? Go ahead.
Chapter 28. And Esau called Jacob and blessed them and charged them and said unto him, You shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Pandamaram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take you a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother.
So, is this another legacy being ran from? Don't take none of these women from this place. Why? We understand their legacy. This precedes them. This is not what I want for you. Because then this will be mingling with our legacy. Go ahead.
And El Shaddai bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you mayest be a multitude of people, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your seed with you, that you mayest inherit the land wherein you art a stranger, which Elohim gave unto Abraham. And Esau sent away Jacob, and he went to Pandamaram unto Laban, son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother.
So here we go with another one of our forefathers having to move, journeying. And on this journey, once again, this one is kind of in a hasteful journey because his brother wants to kill him. So how much things we think that he was actually able to take with him? Then let's consider how much things he left behind. Because it was haste that he had to leave. His father didn't understand it was haste, but his mother knew it was a hasteful situation. So what gets left behind? Genesis 29 and verse 1. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, and we're going to start at verse 33.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, We be all dead men.
So this is the children of Israel being kicked out of the land of Egypt. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We be all dead men. So you being kicked out in a rush. Once again, what are you able to pack and take with you if you being kicked out in haste? Do you remember everything you want to take? Do you remember the most important things that you want to take, especially when somebody's urgent upon you, telling you to get out? I don't know if anybody's ever seen eviction processes here in Georgia. And they just come and throw them people's stuff out. So imagine if you're not there, how much of your legacy gets lost because somebody else gets there before you and rummage through your stuff. Family pictures and all of this kind of stuff get destroyed. And don't mention if you've got jewelry and stuff that gets thrown out. It's definitely not going to be there when you get there. So now imagine if you in the house and they pushing you out while throwing your stuff out. Then imagine them telling you, get off the property and leave, but your stuff is still there. Go ahead.
Verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, verse 34. And the people took their dough before it was leavened. Their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders.
So their dough didn't have time to be leavened. Like I just stated, what else did they not have time to get? What else was left behind? Because the urgency is we got to leave and we got to leave right now. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moshe. And they borrowed of the Egyptian jewels of silver and jewels of gold and remnant. And Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men besides children, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
430 years. I still hear people turn around and supposed to be educated people and say, oh, the children of Israel was down in Egypt for 400 years. I just heard it recently come out of somebody's mouth who went to school to be a minister. It's like either you lack knowledge or you don't know how to read. It says 430 years sojourning. But see, this is when they're trying to mix that legacy of the slavery that was yet to come, that was Abram was told about, being in a land not our own, to try to fit that to say this is when it happened. That's where we've got to be careful to have an understanding of our legacy. That was it, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 13. It's Jeremiah chapter 13.
Start at 15.
Yep. Start at verse 15.
Jeremiah chapter 13, verses 15. Hear you and give ear. Be not proud, for Yahweh has spoken. Give glory to Yahweh your Elohim. Before he caused darkness, and before your feet stumble upon the dark mountains, And while you look for light, he turned it into the shadow of death and make it gross darkness. But if you will not hear it, my soul shall weep in secret places for your pride, and mine eye shall weep sore and run down with tears, because Yahweh's flock is carried away captive. Say unto the king and unto the queen, humble yourselves, sit down, for your principalities shall come down, even the crown of your glory. The cities of the south shall be shut up, and none shall open them. Yehuda shall be carried away captive, all of it. It shall be wholly carried away captive. Lift up your eyes and behold them that come from the north. Where is the flock that was given you, your beautiful flock?
So we getting beaten into pieces so much that it's going to have to ask, where's the flock? We got strangers in the land, so now the question is, where is the flock? Yahweh's beautiful flock. We're his sheep and he's the shepherd. Then you think of it. Our king, our first king, the true king, who proceeds to bring the Most High, our Savior, God, High King, Yahshua, was a shepherd. When you go to verse 17, because Yahweh's flock is carried away captive. Then he turned around and said, where is the flock that was given to you? But he's talking to who? The people of the north. Your beautiful flock. That's who we are. But we don't understand that legacy. Because what? Because legacy has been lost. We're people who think we're nothing. We're nobody. Every other nation of people know their legacy. Everybody else can track where they come from, but us. Because what? Legacy lost. But we can see from the sojourning of Abram and the constant moving, things was already being in place where stuff was being lost. But Yahweh be praised for this book being preserved and where we're at, and for those of us that are called to understand the legacy. But we still got to understand, to partake in this legacy, the covenant made with Abraham, we still got to be like Abraham and follows Yahweh's law, statutes, commandments. Go ahead.
Verse 21. What will you say when he shall punish you? For you has taught them to be captains, and as chief over you, shall not sorrows take you, as a woman in travail? And if you say in your heart, wherefore come these things upon me? For the greatness of your iniquity are your skirts discovered, and your heels made bare. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may you also do good, that are accustomed to do evil. Therefore will I scatter them as they stubble, as the stubble that passeth away by the wind of the wilderness. This is your lot, the portion of your measures from me, said Yahweh, because you has forgotten me and trusted in falsehood.
Verse 23 says, can the Ethiopian change his skin? But somehow Israel was able to change their skin. And we know the Ethiopians and the Egyptians are family. And our people was constantly going down into Egypt. We can see that from Abraham. And we were able to fit in with the Ethiopians. We were able to fit in with the Egyptians so much so that Yosef was mistaken to be an Egyptian. So how is it that the question is asked, can the Ethiopian change his skin? So how was Israel able to change their skin? But see, if you don't understand the legacy, that's easy to do. It's the same thing when we don't understand the legacy and we fight for these last names that aren't ours. But yet we've built a legacy off of last names that aren't ours. And walk proud in it. The people whose legacy it truly is didn't want us to have these names. You're marring their legacy. And believe me, they're keeping a family tree to show that you're not really part of this tree. You're not really a part of this legacy. But it's hard to fight with people to get them to understand this is not yours. When this is all you've known. When you've gotten comfortable in this. And then you start sporting in front of them. And believe me, they love to see us sporting in front of them. We sport more than they do. Just watch us when we get a victory in any game. We celebrate harder than they do. But when somebody tries to introduce our legacy, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to deal with it. Because it's hard to understand that we could actually be a people. We will spend more time regurgitating and studying somebody else's legacy. Most of us can tell you about the Rothschilds and the these people and the that people. But boy, don't ask about us. Why is that? Do we not have a legacy? Or do we don't want to accept the legacy? Yeah, it's been harsh. It's been rough. But what is yours is yours. Yahshua even said, hey man, show me the money. Whose image and superscription is this? Then that's theirs. It's Caesar's money, so guess what? We're going to go ahead and pay these taxes and give Caesar back his money. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 8. Yohanan chapter 8 and start at verse 31 for me.
Yohanan chapter 8, verse 31. Then said Yeshua to those Yehudis which believe on him, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you, and the truth shall make you free. They answer him, we be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. How sayest you, you shall be made free?
And this is what happens when you start to lose the legacy. And part of losing the legacy is not that I don't know or you don't know. It's that our parents before us didn't pass it on. How do they get to this point to say, we're Abraham's seed? Okay, so you can go back as far as Abraham and then say in that same breath that we were never in bond to any man? Okay, so what about the lineage coming up after Abraham right up until you standing right here before me? And at this point that you're saying this, We're not even standing in our own land. So, okay, how did we get here? Why are we here? What brought us here if we've never been in bond to any man? Go ahead.
Yeshua answered them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committed sin in the servant, whosoever committed sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. I know that you are Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me, because my word has no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my father, and you do that which you have seen with your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yeshua said unto them, If you were Abraham's children, you will do the words of Abraham. But now you seek to kill me, a man that has told you the truth, which I have heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham.
And that's where most of us stand when we try to go tell somebody the truth. They seek to kill you. And a lot of times it's not that killing you a physical death. You just go around to some other people that know you, and you go understand that they're assassinating your character. Then you go talk to this family members. Yeah, he think he better than us because I don't even know what this foolishness he talking about. What's that doing? That's killing you off with these other people. So when you come to talk to someone else, they already got that blockage up. So there's that spiritual death, and then there's that physical death. Spiritually, they're trying to kill you off. Why? Because everybody will not partake in the legacy. But we first have to understand the legacy of our people and how we got where we are, which then in turn allows you to understand those trying to walk in your shoes. If you understand your legacy, then nobody can take your legacy away from you. But you can't just understand the good sides of your legacy. You got to understand the bad sides of your legacy as well. Because when you look at the people who are talking, they want to enjoy the good sides of the legacy. I mean, I can look at my own life and I hear stories. And people want to say, oh, the Bible is a good book of stories. My older brother said that to me. Yeah, but these stories also denotes the legacy. What we hear coming to us is also stories passed down from our family members. Some of us weren't allowed to understand certain things. I don't know if Elder Priest was around when his grandfather's houses in Lithonia was there but if you hear that and somebody's talking about it, that's a legacy. But then you got to look at legacy lost and deal with that. That's part of your legacy. My mom can tell me, hey, my great-grandfather owned a place in Jamaica where he grew coffee. Right next door was the coffee plantation. They could just simply walk through the gate and sell the coffee to the plantation. That was my great-grandfather. Now here comes my grandfather. Grew up in this place, get grown, and left and moved to another country. Great-grandfather passes away. His wife marries somebody else. But guess where they're at? They're on my grandfather's legacy, my great-grandfather's legacy. Now there's a new man. Now my grandfather, who has moved away, at some point goes back there and says to the man that's dead, well, since you've been here all this time, and you've been taking care of the place, you can have it. That's legacy lost. He didn't take into consideration because he moved away. he had other children. Maybe one of them might want to go there and live there. When my mom mentioned it, he's like, oh, I never knew you wanted to go back. Yeah, you never asked either. So then here's my uncle, his only boy. Well, let's go back and go visit them and get the place. And I was like, I ain't having nothing to do with none of that. No, ain't got no paperwork, nothing to prove nothing. You go there on your own if you want to. But that's our constant history. What happened? The moving away. Got comfortable and decided, guess what? I have no plans to go back there. But as you say, I have no plans to go back there, you've also spoken for all the next generation to come. Never asked the next generation to say, hey, any of y'all might be interested in going back? No, I made a decision for me because I moved and I got comfortable and I start supporting myself over here. That's our legacy, round and round. Go ahead.
Looking at Yohanan chapter 8, when you look at this whole situation of we be Abraham's seed and we're never in bondage to any man, you have to wonder how many of Esau has already mingled in. Mm-hmm. Because when you get into that and then they start pushing and mingling the legacy. Now, maybe we've picked up their part because if you did what Abraham, Esaac, Yaakov, wait a minute now, you still got Esau in there.
In that legacy, right.
We're talking about Abraham's children. Abraham had a lot of children. So when you get to that, now have you taken on the legacy of the other children of Abraham? See, that was a reason why he said, no, send my child Esau away from them.
Right.
No, he don't. He is separate from all the rest of them. Mm-hmm. But when you get to this, how many of them have now mingled? And now we picked up bits and pieces of their legacy and they are leading us. Because to this day, they're still controlling that. You have people telling us that they've been in the land.
Right.
Right? So then they encourage our people to say, you ain't really Hebrew if you don't know the language. Mm-hmm. So now we kill ourselves to learn this broken down Yiddish, thinking that that's what Yahshua spoke.
Right.
So now they're still using that to give us some kind of low self-esteem about our heritage. And it looks like it was there even at that point right there.
Yeah. And even you got to think about, we've always been in the land. We're going to get to some scripture and show that if that's what you want to tell me is part of your legacy, then that shows me that your legacy and my legacy is not the same. Mm-hmm. Let's go to Psalms chapter 83. Because that was not what was said would be a part of my legacy. Psalms 83, go ahead.
Verse 1.
Yes.
Psalms 83. Keep not you silence, O Elohim. Hold not your peace, and be not still, O Elohim. For lo, your enemies make a tumult, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people, and consulted against your hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Usher also is joined with them. They have holpen helping the children of Lot. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to
Yeah.
Jeben, at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb. Yeah, all their princes as Zeba and as Zalmunna. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Who said, let us take to ourselves the house of Elohim in possession. O my Elohim, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with your tempest, and make them afraid with the storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek your name, O Yahweh. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that man may know that you, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth.
Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. When we hear about Israel, we only hear about the country Israel. We don't hear about a nation of Israel. We hear Israelis. So what does that do? That is to kill the legacy. Let us cut them off and get rid of the legacy of the nation of Israel. Moving a lot is obviously stressful, but it can have more serious effects than stress on people in adulthood. Research published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine suggests that folks, including those with parents or guardians in the military who have lived in many different places growing up, have an increased risk of suicide, substance abuse, and even early death. For the study, researchers collected and analyzed data from 1.4 million people born in Denmark from 1971 to 1997. They had access to every residence children lived in from birth to age 14, and then tracked them from age 15 through their early 40s. Overall, 37% have moved at least once before their 15th birthday, and many of them had also moved frequently during infancy. However, people who moved more frequently during early adolescence were most likely to have adverse health outcomes later in life. Researchers found that each additional move was associated with an increased risk of psychological issues. Research has also shown that people who move frequently are more likely to leave relationships behind along with physical possessions. What's happening there? Legacy being lost. In a 2016 paper published in the journal Personal Relationships, psychologists conclude that people who move more frequently tend to view both their stuff and their connections to other people as more disposable. Why? Probably because they become accustomed to disposing of them. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 22. So with all that move and constantly moving, you can understand it at some point. A lot of stuff, like it just said, became disposable to the children of Israel. We constantly being moved. Who cares about this? Who cares about that? Understand, if we were given the opportunity to stay in our land and never had to move, do you understand the concrete relationships we would have? Something just as moving around a lot don't even make you get to know the neighbors. Why? We're not going to be here long. If we did what we were supposed to do and never left the land, you would constantly find the same family in the same place all the time. You could go generation after generation after generation and understand that that same family of people would be in that same place. Even with all this moving, we brought down ourselves. But you think about the biggest thing that we try to obtain in this place is property. We had property. We spend so much money trying to obtain property and trying to keep property. Do you understand that the first man, when Adam sinned, what Yahweh said, by the sweat of your brow should you eat bread. By the sweat of your brow should you eat bread. Will you eat bread? The only reason that we were supposed to be working hard was just to eat. Now we work hard to keep a roof over our head. We work hard to keep bread on the table. We work hard to keep the lights on. We work hard to keep gas in our vehicles. We work hard to keep a vehicle. But understand what was said. By the sweat of your brow should you eat bread. If we just did what we were supposed to do, the purchasing of land wouldn't be a problem. We would just be working for food, to eat. How far we've come. How far we've fallen. But that's also a part of understanding the legacy. And part of the legacy is understanding how Yahweh deals with us as a people. 2 Kings chapter 22 and start at verse 8 for me, please.
2 Kings chapter 22 and verse 8. And Hilkiah the high priest said unto Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law of the house of Yahweh.
So how do you end up finding the book? In all this moving around, it got lost. And this is what happens in all the moving around, things get lost. Go ahead.
And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the king and brought the king. And Shaphan the scribe came to the king and brought the king word again and said, Your servant have gathered the money that was found in the house, and have delivered it into the hand of them that do the work, that have the oversight of the house of Yahweh. And Shaphan the scribe showed the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest has delivered me a book. And Shaphan read it before the king. And it came to pass when the king had heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes. And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest and Hiakam the son of Shaphan and Akbor, the son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asahiah, a servant of the king's, saying, Go you, inquire of Yahweh for me, and for the people, and for all Yehudah, concerning the words of this book that is found, for great is the wrath of Yahweh that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according unto all that which is written concerning us. So Hilkiah the priest and Hiakim and Akbor and Shaphan and Asaiah went unto Huldah the prophetess and the wife of Shalom, the son of Tikvah, the son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dwelt in Jerusalem in the college, and they
They commune with her.
commune with her. Excuse me.
Now, at the end of verse 13, it says, because our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according unto all that which is written concerning us. So the legacy is in the book. But do we understand what all concerns us? Just like Elder said several times over, you got to understand who is talking and who they're talking to, because then sometimes you can apply the wrong thing to us because it ain't for us. Understand your legacy, your part in the book, and play your part. That's the biggest thing we got to get hold of in the legacy. To do according unto all that which is written concerning us. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And she said unto them, thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, tell the man that sent you to me. Thus said Yahweh, behold, I will bring evil upon this place and upon the inhabitants thereof, even all the words of the book which the king of Yehuda has read. Because they have forsaken me and have burned incense unto other gods, that they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and shall not be quenched. But to the king of Yehuda, which sent you to inquire of Yahweh, thus shall you say to him, thus said Yahweh Elohim of Israel, as touching the words which you has heard, because your heart was tender, and you has humbled yourself before Yahweh, when you heard us what I spake against this place, and against the inhabitants thereof, that they shall become a desolation and a curse, and has rent your clothes and went before me. I also have heard you, said Yahweh. Behold, therefore, I will gather you unto your fathers, and you shall be gathered unto your grave in peace, and your eyes shall not see all the evil which I will bring upon this place. And they brought the king word again.
All right. Media room, can you go ahead and play that link for me, please?
Went to a doctor for an examination.
Can you turn the speakers up a little bit?
For my skin. I get ingrown hair whenever I shave my skin, right? And the guy looks at my name and says, Ephraim, you're Jewish. I was like, huh? I was like, hell no, I'm Nigerian. What are you talking about? And then this guy, mind you, this guy is Jewish. White guy, Jewish, a whole 9 yards. The guy looks at me and goes, you're from Nigeria? The Igbo tribe? Like, I'm taken back, and I'm like, how do you know that? Yes. It's like, yes, so you are Jewish. I'm like, no, I'm Igbo. This man looks at me and says, the Igbo tribe migrated from Egypt, which before that, they migrated from Jerusalem when the Romans dispersed the Jews. So your entire bloodline is Jewish. I was like, what are you on? What you smoking? I'm out here looking at the doctor like this man is smoking something. And then I was like, okay, tell you what, I'm just going to go with it and I'm going to ask my mom later, right? So I called my mom. I was like, hey, Ma. So I just got out the doctor's office and this man looked me in the face. I was like, yo, you guys are all Jewish. My mom was like, yeah, you didn't know that? I was like, huh? How am I supposed to know that? Mind you, we're Christians, right? We're Igbo and all of this. And this woman is like, yeah, our entire tribe is Jewish. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. And then I started doing my own research. And turns out my name, Ephraim, is the name of an actual Jewish tribe, which is under the tribe of Joseph. Funny enough, my grandfather's name is Joseph. So I'm just mad. I'm like, yo, why didn't you guys none of you guys told me this? And I have strangers now telling me my own lineage. I didn't know what to do with this information. So now I got a whole rabbit hole I have to jump through later just to find out where all of us really came from. Like, this is crazy.
All right, that's all we're going to do for this evening. Shalom, family.
Shalom.